Bonsoir les amis, this is Llyane Stanfield, and as always you can find me at parisianfrench.com. Tonight I want to answer Priyanka's concern about the genders, and I know that this is one of the major issues for all of you. So this is the reason I wanted to make a video, Facebook live today, as I promised that I would. So genders in French, Priyanka, is they're just the same. That's the reason I asked you how did you learn the genders in Indian, and or how would you explain the genders to a child, or the genders in Indian to a child. You knowing the genders in Indian, you yourself said that there's no rule. And thing is this, I would like to address a few misconceptions that are definitely not your fault or anybody's, but they are coming from the way French is taught. And many of you learn French from English, and many schools and programs explain how different French words that have a different pattern, a certain pattern, will most likely be feminine or masculine. So a certain pattern that is in the words will, most of the words with a certain pattern would be feminine. Most of the words with a certain pattern would be masculine. I'm going to just give you, for instance, the ones ending in a vowel. Most of the words ending in a vowel are feminine. And so, and there are many other words, and every one of you who actually had to deal with this or looked or learned do know that there are a ton of rules out there about genders. The problem with those rules, they are having put together with the intention to help you, but they are not helping. The only thing that these semi-rules, right? They're not really rules because they don't apply to everything. They're kind of rules of thumb. And all they do, they make you think more, because now you have to choose between this rule and that rule. Which one do I apply, right? And so knowing that there are these rules is kind of busy, making your brain busy with something to think about. And so when you think about something, you don't speak, right? You have to stop and think. So whenever there's some rules that are not very clear, or they're not just across the whole language, it just makes you think more instead of talking more and figuring it out. So now I have a few suggestions. So if you now, I know Priyanka where she is, but I'm talking for everybody. So if you're starting French from zero and you're starting right now, please know that and consider that the French words are always made out of two parts. One will show the gender and the other one will be the word itself. So when you learn your words, I'm going to give you an example. Say, for instance, le livre equals the book. So le and livre, two words, the and book, two words. Make it so that you always write two words on one side and two words on the other side. Because our brain is like a computer, and it's going to map the words like to here and to here. I know that in English it's going to be the all up, on the whole column there, and it may seem redundant, but know that the brain needs that word to actually grasp onto what am I mapping onto what, which word means what. And so always write that. Or if you choose, for instance, un and une, then write un and une and stay consistent with that, and on the right side where it's the English for the translation, do write the word a, right? So that is if you start French from zero. What if you already have a vocabulary, which is a lot of you? It's a little annoying, but this is the way to go. It is by considering, if you're not sure of a gender of a gender for some words, just consider that those words are not completely learned, and make it so that every single time you become aware of the fact that you made a mistake with the gender, or if you're just simply not sure of the gender, write it down every single time you get to that point. Don't skip this step. Just by writing down, the brain will memorize 10 times faster that word if you write it down every single time it occurs to you. And even if you are in the middle of the street talking to someone, maybe you can stop and, on a napkin, just write it down and then throw it away. But the fact that you're writing it down, the brain works with visual memory. And so you're going to actually give your brain exactly what it needs, the pattern and the visual and the experience. And that's going to help you learn that gender 10 times faster. So I don't ever recommend that you write the words and run flashcards and stuff like that. It is a dry way to learn, boring eventually, and even if you convinced yourself in time that that is the way that works the best for you, you keep using it because it's something familiar, but it doesn't mean that really works fast. And combine with this writing down and forgetting about it. Another way to really memorize it, to really well memorize words and genders, whatever it is that it implies, that word, is by writing sentences. And write sentences that make sense to you, meaning it has to be a reality of your life. Don't just write a sentence that is correct grammatically and it doesn't make any sense for your life. Make it so that it's a living entity, it's a living thing, because the brain relates to something. Whatever it is we have in our life, we have emotions regarding whatever element or part of our life that you're talking about in French, and it is a well-known scientific fact that information matched with emotion actually are carving in our brain the memories. So whatever memories we have that we attached emotion to, that is how we learn faster. And so if you make sentences related to things that are living things or existing things in your life, you are going to bring the emotion that is attached to that subject to learning French, and that's going to make it so that you're going to memorize it much faster. That's all I had for you for today, Priyanka. I hope that this helps you with your genders. Do not beat yourself up for having to, still learning them, having to learn them. Different people are different, right? So for some people, genders are easier and pronunciation is harder. For you, maybe pronunciation is easier. Maybe I didn't pick the right things. I really don't know. You didn't ever talk to you ever. So maybe you'll take advantage of the one free hour that you can have with me, the assessment, which where I'm going to share with you techniques that you can use in your particular way based on what I hear that you're doing, and so that you can start learning much faster your French and especially your genders. So stay on your game and don't ever give up on your dream to become bilingual. Learn to speak Parisian French and break your language barrier. Merci beaucoup et à bientôt. Au revoir.